My wife went to a party without me even though I asked her not to. Later, I found out that she cheated on me there. I'm 30, my wife is 25. We've been married for 3 years and together for almost 6. We have no kids, no significant assets, but more debt than money in our bank account. We rent a house and I'm the primary breadwinner in the family. I earn about $4,000 a month and she earns about half that. I work a lot to provide my wife with a lifestyle she's used to. My work team is very close-knit. One colleague, who I've worked with for nearly 3 years, invited me to join an amateur soccer league, and I've been playing in it for 2 years now. My wife attended every game, and I thought she was supporting me. But deep down, I always suspected that she was more interested in the chance to drink. I usually limited my alcohol because of the games, but as a spectator, she didn't hold back. After the games, the guys and girls would hang out at someone's house, go to a bar, or order pizza. A couple of weeks ago, our group decided to get together at one of the team members' homes in a nearby town. After the game, I said we couldn't go because I had to get up early for work. On the way home, my wife texted one of the guys I considered a friend, asking for a ride to the party. Already in the car, she asked me for permission to go. I said no, explaining that I wanted to spend the evening together and needed rest before work. She got upset and stopped talking to me. When we got home, my friend pulled up in front of our house. My wife decided to go to the party. I was furious. I went up to him and said I didn't approve of this and asked him to leave. But my wife got out of our car and got into his. They left. In rage, I turned on her old iPad that I had bought for her years ago. I could still track her location. I tried not to sleep but passed out around 3 a.m. She still wasn't back. In the morning, I found her in our bed. I didn't know when she got home. I got ready for work and left without waking or kissing her goodbye. That had never happened before. I wanted her to understand that I was angry. Before leaving, I took the iPad and put it in my bag. At work, after a meeting, I pulled out the iPad. A notification from Messenger popped up. My friend was typing. I opened the app and saw their conversation. Although messages were supposed to delete automatically, the outdated version still showed them in real time. My heart sank. He made crude comments about the night before. He also mentioned that other guys joined in. Then it got worse. I saw my wife ask him to send her an explicit video, which he did. I was horrified. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Shaking, I asked to leave work early. I went home. She was still asleep in our bed. I asked her to come downstairs. I sat across from her and asked her to tell me everything that happened that night. She claimed she just drank, played pool, and talked. That's it. I asked her when she last spoke to my friend. She said they exchanged a couple of regular messages in the morning. Then I dropped the bomb. Would you change your story if I told you I saw your whole conversation this morning? She broke down crying. The first thing she said was, "Are you going to leave me?" She admitted she couldn't remember clearly, but confessed to sleeping with my friend and another teammate that night. She added there might have been other guys, but she wasn't sure. I was in shock. I asked if this was the first time. She admitted that it had happened before, once even in our home while I slept upstairs. That was the final straw. I helped her pack her things, and she left for her family's house. She begged me not to tell anyone. It's been 2 weeks since, and I don't know what to do. I hope this isn't the worst case of cheating, but it's hard to imagine anything worse. Bringing people into your life only to learn it's been going on for months is unbearable. She blames alcohol, says she'll start attending AA meetings, and now wants to go to couples therapy to fix things. I think it's too late, but I feel weak and torn by a wave of emotions, including guilt. Tomorrow, I have a meeting with a divorce lawyer. I want to believe I'm doing the right thing. No matter how bad she feels or how badly she wants to fix it, I can't even talk to her without replaying that video in my head. I deserve better. There's nothing left to fix here, right? I'm not a bad person, am I? Any support or advice would mean a lot. It's incredibly hard to stop caring about someone who betrayed you so suddenly. First update, I'm sincerely grateful for all the advice, concern, and positivity. I realize it's been nearly a month since my first post, and many of you asked how I'm doing. Unfortunately, things went from horrible to unbelievably grim. There are no words to describe it properly. Sorry in advance for the long post, but there's no way to convey how devastated I am otherwise. After my first post, I followed your advice and consulted with several lawyers, so I'd be prepared for divorce. My wife didn't know about these meetings. We didn't talk for several days after my post, but she kept insisting that this time she'd do everything to make it right. She finally agreed to see a couples therapist, which I had asked her to do for months before D-Day. Deep down, I already knew what my choice would be. She actually scheduled a session, but the appointment was in about a week and a half. In the meantime, I obsessively tracked her every move through that damn iPad. I checked all her messages on Facebook, Snapchat, and whatever else I could. After a week and a half of constant monitoring, I found nothing new. I started to think maybe she was genuinely remorseful. Finally, the therapy session came. The therapist sat us down and asked why we were there. I let her go first. She skipped a few details but recounted the major events. After listening, the therapist turned to me and asked if I trusted her and what I thought of our marriage. I just shook my head in shock. Instead of answering, I said, "If I don't say this out loud now, I'm afraid I never will. There's no going back for me. This marriage is over. The vows are broken. My trust is destroyed. The only thing left to do is file for divorce." My heart sank. My wife broke down sobbing. I continued, "I don't know what could possibly be saved in this relationship. Our marriage is over. When I said my vows, I meant them. And I can't be honest with myself if I pretend this isn't completely destroyed." At that moment, I felt a small sense of relief from saying it in front of her and a neutral party, making it clear that it was truly over for me. The rest of the session was the therapist explaining to her why my feelings and decision were completely rational, given the situation, and trying to calm her down. In my opinion, it went better than I expected. The therapist insisted on therapy, but not couples therapy, individual therapy first, to help us understand ourselves before possibly discussing reconciliation in the future. Let me say right now, so you're not worried, I'm absolutely not considering reconciliation at this point, but at least individual therapy might help me. Before I continue, I want to say I was aware that I was entering a legal process that could get ugly and financially ruinous for me as the main provider, especially in a no-fault divorce state. Fast forward about a week and a half. By that point, we had both attended at least one individual therapy session. Her version to her family was that we were separating but both trying to heal. She still lived with her family. I continued my obsession, tracking her digital activity for any signs that she was continuing her disgusting habits. Just last week, I realized there was one place I had never checked: the App Store. I looked at the iCloud app download history and saw that nearly 2 weeks before that night, she had downloaded a secret messaging app. My heart sank. I realized she had been intentionally hiding conversations from me. I knew I had her iPad. She insisted I keep it to rebuild trust, but I don't think she knew that downloaded apps show in the iCloud history on all devices. I needed to know what she was saying in that app. I downloaded it on her iPad, tried a few of her usual login password combos, and there it was, the truth. Not only had she been continuing to talk to that friend via the app after our first therapy session, but she was still sleeping with him during times she knew I wouldn't be home. I was gutted. I cried. It was early Tuesday morning around 3 a.m. I called my mom. No answer. Dad. No answer. Sister. She picked up. I told her what I had just discovered, sobbing uncontrollably. She immediately realized I was at the edge and stayed on the phone with me for nearly an hour until I calmed down. I eventually laid down in bed, trying to get some sleep, but it never came. Time dragged on, and I realized I had to go to work. I couldn't be in that house anymore, but now I had what I had been looking for: Irrefutable proof that my wife not only cheated, but is a bold-faced liar. I wrestled for days with what to do with this information. Part of me wanted to tell all, her friends, family, and acquaintances what she really is and what she did and is still doing. But I couldn't. The divorce process was already underway, and she could try to make it ugly and financially ruinous for me. I started ignoring her messages and calls. Eventually, she came over to check on me. I nearly lost it. I forced myself to act indifferent. I wasn't sure how to proceed. Not even a minute passed before she lost her patience and started yelling at me for acting strange. Then I gave her a chance. I asked straight up, "Have you had any contact with him since that night?" Her answer, "No. I blocked him everywhere." I asked again, "Are you sure?" She firmly said she hadn't, that he disgusted her, and that she'd never do something like that to me again. Then I dropped the bomb again. "And what about that app? And what about the video I made on my phone that shows all your conversations, all the pictures you sent each other, the planning of your meetings?" She collapsed on the floor, crying, begging me for something. I don't even know what. I kept a cold tone. "Here's what's going to happen next. I won't tell anyone about this, and in return, you won't argue with me during the divorce. I'll be fair, even if I shouldn't be. But you'll get the divorce papers and sign them. Otherwise, people will have to find out about our situation and what you did. The choice is yours." She left 2 days later and was served the papers. Since then, I've kept my word and haven't told anyone except close family. But I definitely know, thanks to the car app, that every evening she visited her friend at his house where he lives with his mother. Her family thinks she goes to AA meetings every evening, but my screenshots and her location during those times show otherwise. Seriously, why the hell didn't she change her iCloud password? I don't know why I keep collecting evidence, but I do. Right now, I'm battling anxiety, waiting for the period to end during which she can still legally challenge me in court while her family believes she's on the right path. Nothing could be further from the truth. What hurts me most right now is the injustice of it all. She can be around people every day and act like everything's fine, and then every night she goes to him for comfort, then returns home in the middle of the night. And I go to work every day, returning to an empty house that torments me mentally, feeling what it truly means to be completely alone in every sense of the word. These are the worst days of my life. I live this time hour by hour, day by day, until the day comes when I know I'll get out of this hell without destroying my finances and can officially put it all behind me. What I'll do after that, I don't know yet. I'm just trying to survive until then. Update 2. This is my third post here, and hopefully the last. My divorce is officially finalized. I waited the full 6 months and 1 day to make sure my ex-wife didn't secretly sue me. Now it's over. I've cut off all contact with her and finally feel like I can move on. My previous post was written 6 weeks after D-Day. What I didn't say in that post was that I had already filed to initiate the divorce. I followed the advice of many kind commenters who suggested I return her iPad and sever all ties to devices and social media accounts so I couldn't obsessively track her actions. I knew enough. I knew what I wanted. My approach to the divorce could have caused me more emotional harm in the long run, but it didn't hit my wallet nearly as hard as it could have. At the time, everything seemed logical. I accepted that this woman would never again deserve my trust. I knew I had to get rid of her, but I wasn't going to pay her $2,000 a month in alimony. We don't even have kids, for God's sake. No way. I wasn't going to give her a dime for what she did to me. I got angry, thought it through, and devised a plan to end the marriage as quickly and cleanly as possible. Looking back, I'm not proud of the tactics I used to end my divorce without financial loss. But in the end, they worked. Still, I feel like I may have compromised my moral high ground. Maybe it's debatable. From my point of view, my actions are just molehills compared to the mountains of distrust, pain, and fear she caused me. Around the same time I wrote my last post, I had already prepared and submitted the divorce papers to court. I kept it a secret from my wife, who was still living with her family after I kicked her out. She was no longer welcome in my home. I tried to arrange a few meetings to talk. I wanted to convince her that I still wanted to work on our relationship. But that was a complete lie. In all our conversations, I made it clear that I believed our marriage was over. She betrayed me, and if we really wanted to start fresh, we needed to mutually end this marriage and then start dating each other again, courting, rebuilding, seeking a new and stronger connection. I still can't believe she fell for that. In reality, I was doing everything I could to make the divorce process easier and faster for her and keep it hidden from everyone. A bright example was how I handed her the papers. We invited our mutual friend to come to the house, the one we had lived in together, and play the role of a witness during the signing. She signed the necessary papers and sealed them in an envelope, without even bothering to read them. I doubt she truly understood the boring legal language because I requested extremely favorable terms for myself, completely excluding alimony and just splitting what was in our joint account at the time. That was the biggest issue I wanted to avoid, paying her alimony. For the first few months, I actively played the "I need time to think" card and avoided her, meeting her only about twice a month for dinner or small talk in public places to keep up appearances. These meetings were always in public, so she couldn't claim I tried to harm her. I maintained the illusion. I kept playing along, making her believe I was genuinely working through my emotions and trying to find the strength to forgive her so we could reconcile. I had absolutely no intention of doing that. Keeping her on the hook, I managed to gain her trust enough to remove her from my bank accounts, the lease, and even moved all her stuff from our home into storage. After that, I convinced her that we would find a new place together and that moving her things out of the house would help me cope with the betrayal and start healing. Lying to her and keeping her in this state of submission and cooperation made all the hard divorce tasks incredibly easy, and she thought she was doing the right thing for us. That's how I got through about 4 of the 6 months I needed to survive to see the light at the end of the tunnel. At the beginning of the 4th month, I got a message from a relative she was staying with. He asked if we were still trying to work things out. This relative knew about the other guy and the whole situation. To keep up appearances, I said, "Yeah, why do you ask?" and got a reply with a photo of my wife and the guy having dinner at a restaurant in another city with the caption, "This is happening right now." It just so happened that the relative was meeting co-workers after work and saw them together. That's when I made a mistake. I let emotions take over. I texted my wife and asked if she could talk on the phone. She lied, saying she was at an AA meeting and would call me back when she was done. So I replied, "Didn't know AA meetings are held at restaurant name and that your sweetheart is now your sponsor." She immediately called me and started screaming, accusing me of being creepy and stalking her. I responded with a few curse words and told her I was no longer interested in talking. So in the last 2 months of the divorce, she officially started dating her friend. I blocked them both on all social media, but news still trickled in through mutual friends. Questions started to pop up, and more people began reaching out to me, wanting to know what was going on. Apparently, my wife was becoming bolder, posting more updates and photos with him. If anyone asked me about her, I told them everything they wanted to know. People whose relationships I actually valued took my side. The support I received from our mutual acquaintances was more meaningful than the divorce itself. I finally felt like I had someone to talk to, and oh God, I really did talk. Almost everyone I spoke to about what happened initially tried to contact my ex to find out who this guy was in the pictures. The common conclusion from those conversations was the same. She greatly downplayed what had happened, though as far as I know, she didn't deny that she cheated on me. I was more than happy to tell our mutual friends all the details she chose to hide. All our friends and most of her close relatives were shocked, and I truly believe they sided with me. I asked them not to rock the boat until the divorce was finalized. As time passed, Their photos became bolder, their relationship more public, and my phone rang more often. It got to the point where I had to ask people to stop informing me about her life because it kept causing me real emotional pain. Just a few days before the divorce, it was Valentine's Day. On that day of love, I received 3 different screenshots from 3 different people, all from the same social media post. My ex and the guy hugging with a romantic caption about how amazing it is that God sent her such a wonderful man, how happy she is, and how she hopes he's the man she'll marry someday. When one door closes, God opens a window. It was genuinely amusing to see shocked emojis from distant relatives and acquaintances asking, "Who is this guy? I wish I could say I didn't care that they were together, but it still stings." Deep down, I still feel a profound loss, but now I also feel complete disgust toward her, and I'm sickened that I couldn't see the monster she truly was all those years, not to mention what a vile person her friend turned out to be. I have absolutely no respect for him and won't waste any energy or time on him. He'll get what he deserves, being stuck with my ex-wife, someone I essentially no longer recognize. That gives me a bit of peace. Finally, the day of the official divorce arrived. I never received any counterpapers from her, and her opportunity to fight for anything not outlined in our agreement passed. I managed to keep my entire retirement account. I don't owe her alimony. I got out of the marriage debt-free and did it all without lawyers or court. At the end of that day, I blocked her number. The next day, 7 of my close friends, 6 of whom were mutual friends, threw me a divorce party. They posted pictures from it on Snapchat all night. It was a real event worth documenting, and for that, each of them received a full block on social media from my ex-wife and several rude messages. P.S. There's one more internal struggle I'm facing. Maybe someone can give advice. During that very obsession when I was digging through her digital footprints, I came across the fact that she slept with a man from her hometown while all this was happening. The thing is, this guy is her old flame, but he has a wife and child, and I'm really struggling with whether I should tell his wife. I feel ashamed for not saying anything yet, but I'm terrified of the thought of destroying a family and carrying that on my conscience. Should I tell her? Should I hide my identity or keep it a secret? This situation is like a worm in my head that constantly tortures me and literally causes nausea, anxiety, and from time to time, nightmares. I'd be grateful for any advice. So I suggest pausing this video right now and writing your opinion on the questions the author asks. Now we move on to the next update, Update 3. In 17 days, it will be the 2nd anniversary of my Day X. Honestly, when I reread my previous posts, I can honestly say I never thought I'd get this far, considering the time that's passed and the healing process from the pain, heaviness, fear, and depression I experienced due to my ex-wife's horrible actions. I hope this will be my last update about what happened since the divorce became official. Obviously, a lot of time has passed since the last update, but significant events occurred that truly show how awful a person can be. After the divorce was finalized in February 2019, I tried to avoid any interaction with my ex. Easier said than done. I didn't communicate with her directly, but from time to time I'd see posts from her distant relatives whom I hadn't blocked, or friends would accidentally mention something they saw on Snapchat from a mutual acquaintance. That kind of thing. All my real friends tried to keep these updates to themselves, but some news was just too hard to hide. The first major news came in May 2019 when one of my best friends called me and said that my ex-wife was getting married to a guy from Tennessee. Wait, what? Yes, it was true. Her friend's husband hadn't blocked my ex-wife on Facebook and was able to screenshot events that happened before the wedding announcement. Keep in mind, all this happened between March 2019 and July 2019. Clearly, the relationship between the friend and my ex didn't last long after the divorce. I don't know the details or how it ended. I'd actually like to know, but it didn't surprise me at all. Starting in April, she began posting status updates on Facebook, hinting that everything was happening for a reason, and dropping vague hints about falling in love with someone. Then suddenly, in July, she posted a photo. In the photo, she was with some unfamiliar guy no one in our circle knew. They were standing, holding hands, rings on their fingers, geotagged in California. The caption read something like, "Excited to start a new life with such an amazing man. Feeling blessed. Hold on, Tennessee, we're coming." I understand that this whole story, as from my first post, might seem unbelievable, but I can't provide any evidence other than to say I'm telling you the plain truth. I just couldn't stand the overwhelming curiosity about the situation anymore. I contacted one of my ex-wife's relatives with whom I had a good relationship to find out the rest of the details. Again, she met her new husband online and they talked for several months by phone, text, etc. Apparently, they fell in love and he proposed to her over the phone. She said yes. They couldn't wait. Within a week after the proposal and after she tried to notify her family and invite them to the wedding, they got married in a small town about 2 hours from our hometown. For some unknown reason, he flew to California, and on Saturday, they got married. That day was also the first time they met face-to-face, and now they were husband and wife. The most surprising thing, according to her relative, was that none of her family attended the ceremony. They got married without any celebration, which I'm sure really upset her. On Sunday, they started packing all her things into a truck, and on Monday, they headed to Tennessee. I couldn't believe it. Enough people confirmed this story and the timeline that I knew it was true, but it was just unbelievable. At that point, poor guy, if only he knew. I'm sure if he had known, he wouldn't have married her in California, a no-fault divorce state, because he could end up in the same situation I did with her. For a while, I tried to get them both out of my head, but I found some comfort in the fact that they were moving far away, and I knew I wouldn't run into her again by chance. In the fall of 2019, another shock came. Scrolling through Instagram, I noticed a video of my ex-wife holding a plate in front of her dad while he covered his eyes. Before I could even understand what I was watching, I saw a cookie with blue frosting on the plate. I heard my ex-wife's voice. 3, 2, 1. It's a boy! It turned out to be a gender reveal video. Why am I seeing this? Her mom had just created an open Instagram account and posted that video where her husband expressed joy at the birth of his grandson, and the Instagram algorithm decided I'd be interested in seeing it. I completely lost it. Those were truly bad days and sleepless nights. The nausea I felt was a mix of disgust, pain, disappointment, and even a little envy. I had always dreamed of becoming a father. And if she hadn't cheated on me, she could be pregnant with my child now. That could have been my baby. I could have been a father. I'm 32 now. I thought I'd be a dad by this age, but in reality, I'm not even in a relationship, let alone having a child. I'm a mature person, and I understand that I still have time to fulfill that dream with someone I love and who makes me happy. But I can't stop thinking about it. All I can confidently say is that in this situation, I'd much rather be in my position than in that of the future father. I assume the child has probably already been born. I'm lucky that those around me didn't inform me about her pregnancy or the birth. I still have bad days, worsened by the pandemic and isolation. I'm lucky I can work from home on my computer. But I feel very lonely. When I feel hopeless, I remember the early days after my day X, and how I thought I'd never survive it. But I did. And I'll survive this hard time too, day by day, moment by moment. I thank all of you who took the time to read my update and find out what happened. I want to end with a deep bowl of gratitude for those who left comments, wrote to me, and supported me through this life ordeal. Thank you for another 2 years of survival and growth. Update 4. So it's been 3 years since my day X and over a year since my last post. This past year has been the first where I was finally able to focus on myself. I have no updates, about my ex-wife or her life, as I've completely cut off all communication with her and her family. I even had to block mutual friends through whom unwanted information might have slipped through. From my past experience, I knew that if I kept everything related to her and her family out of my information stream, I'd be better able to focus on my life without letting my thoughts drift back to the past. Honestly, cutting off communication with her family was extremely difficult because they had been my family until she did what she did. I loved some of her relatives like my own. Realizing that I lost those relationships was painful and unfair, but ultimately necessary. I know this strategy works and helps me, because over time, more and more days pass when I don't think of her at all. And even when I do think of her, now it's more like, thank God I avoided that nightmare, than any sadness or pain. This year, during the pandemic, I radically changed my career and started my own consulting business in IT support and systems design. It was a bold move that quickly paid off. I secured several contracts, including 2 with government agencies in my area. I had a lot of work, but I managed. Both contracts were extended for another 12 months. Being self-employed turned out to be incredibly inspiring, and I'm proud that I can deliver quality work to my clients. That sense of self-worth has significantly changed my perception of the past. I no longer worry so much about the present or future. My work life is stable. My finances are better than ever. My mind is mostly free from the memories that used to haunt me. My body is in better shape than it was at the beginning of this whole story, and I feel good. The only thing that bothers me is my general distrust of people, especially women, in a romantic sense. That mistrust made the transition from employment to running my own business an easy and natural choice. I don't have to rely on anyone but myself to get the job done. But romantically, my desire to be with someone has weakened significantly. I'm okay being alone. I had a short experience with online dating and realized that, for the most part, it's just a swamp of broken people. I came to this conclusion after 3 or 4 dates that were deeply disappointing, with women who, contrary to what their profiles suggested, weren't looking for anything serious, but just wanted male attention. I don't want to sound like I don't respect women or anything like that. Deep down, I crave connection and intimacy. I want to share my life with someone. But just because I feel that way doesn't mean I'll let just anyone into my life just to avoid being alone. I have this nagging internal dialogue that shows up in my head more often than I'd like. It constantly reminds me that I'm already 34, that I should have had a wife and kids by now and be living a happy life, like all my other friends, who are paying off mortgages, going on trips, spoiling their kids, and seemingly living their best lives. But do I have money in the bank? Yes. Does that make me happier? Obviously. I know I need to keep working on myself. But I also realize that holding myself to some imaginary timeline in my head isn't what I actually need. Right now, I'm grateful for the life I have. I'm infinitely happy that I'm not living the alternate version of my life where my ex is still my wife. I hope that if I continue putting myself first, and making the most of every day, I'll be able to look back and say I'm proud of myself, and that I made the most of what was, frankly, a really tough start in life. Thank you all for your time, advice, support, and words of wisdom. I couldn't have made it without you, that's it. Be sure to write in the comments what you think about this whole story. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Also, check out our previous video. Subscribe, like, and good luck.